Alright, good morning, y'all. I'm back, and I know I've been away for a bit, and that's where I wanted to start things off here. I'm going to give myself as much as 90 seconds because, of course, how I am when it comes to the time aspect of these things. But, yeah, I missed a lot of opportunities with stuff I could have posted over the last couple of days, or at least the last couple of days worth. I don't typically do a lot over the weekend, but, of course, even then when I do, like if there's major stuff, I'll talk about it. There was one which I'll get into in a bit that I missed on. That's largely because I've been dealing with some back issues. I may or may not have mentioned it in past videos, but at age 14 I was diagnosed with mild scoliosis, and ever since then I've had a fair share of back issues, and none have been more troubling than recently. And it's just been incredibly painful to a point where, honestly, I'm just glad that there's been progress over the last couple of days with the rest and the recuperation I've been trying to get on it. So we'll see how that goes. But I talk about that simply because of the fact that I've made a commitment, or I feel like I've made a commitment to try to do more with this channel. Optimize more of the opportunities that I have here, and of course, even with things like this, I want to just clarify that that's not going to stop. I'm actually putting some things into works here, starting today. Should have actually started over the weekend, but again, it was actually that heavy with how it was feeling. But I'm not going to waste too much more time on that. I'm doing better now. And I'm also getting this in before I head into work. So let's just go ahead and get this going here to talk about a couple of things in the wrestling world that happened over the weekend. And I want to start with Sunday's Heat Wave, actually, or at least the ending of it. And I really want to talk about this because, interestingly enough, my feed for the show cut, like, right before they could even get to the copyright graphic, I think. I mean, I don't even know if I saw that from what I remember. But those of you that actually did see it and saw it all the way through, apparently we got a bit of a new challenger for Ethan Page already. And I do want to also say that I've said in the past, this is something else I wanted to point out also. I may not have said it here, I've said it on videos, I've talked to other people. This won't be a very long title reign with Ethan Page. I'm just telling y'all that right now. Just expect that to be a fairly short title reign. This man will be on Raw sometime as late as maybe mid-fall at the very latest. And yes, I said Raw specifically, so look out for that. But anyway, as it turns out, I'm guessing as Ethan was heading back to the locker room, Mr. Joe Hendry's face showed up on the Titantron. And I imagine the reaction that they got out in Toronto had to have been nuts. I mean, just going back to when we saw the debut appearance of one Mr. Joe Hendry in that number one contenders battle royal that was actually supposed to determine the main event for this Heatwave PLE. And needless to say, I mean, the reaction this man got was nothing short of remarkable. I gotta say, it was, they said that everything about the entrance went viral. The entrance song and everything about it went viral already, even before that. I mean, it's huge, and so much so that it seems Joe Hendry's going to get an NXT title shot, or at least that's something that they seem to be teasing. And whether they are or not, I don't mind this at all, because this is actually a really cool idea, and it helps because this was actually one of my disappointments about Heatwave. I didn't notice any TNA superstars at all. No TNA wrestlers were to be seen, at least up until this point. So, if this is something that's actually going on, I absolutely applaud this, and I cannot wait to see it. But, again, I'm also looking especially forward to Ethan Page on Raw. But I'm leaving it at that because we're going to move on to AEW because we had a couple of heel turns within the last week and some change. And that involves these two. one MJF and one Mercedes Moné. Now, I'm going to start very quickly with MJF, as I did watch Collision over the weekend through all of the stuff with the PLEs. It's really, really interesting because on Dynamite, he was advertised to be kicking off Collision this past Saturday night, which he did. And that was actually right before that main event match of Dynamite between Will Ospreay and Danny Garcia for the AEW International Championship. Now, of course, as we all know, MJF tried to get Danny Garcia to cheat with the AEW Dynamite ring, and Garcia refused. Of course, that wound up costing him the match. Ospreay wound up getting the win, and Max tried to apologize, tried to be very empathetic with Daniel Garcia, and just the whole nine, just as you expected. However, it just wound up leading to what I think we all should have expected, and that was the good kick right through the uprights, and man, was it ever through the uprights. Now, of course, he winds up going on to pretty much hospitalize and seemingly end the career of Daniel Garcia, but of course he'll be back. I'm pretty sure he'll end up being back in short order, but that's something to be discussed for another time. I want to talk about this because he actually opened Collision showing the clip of when he revealed that he deals with ADD much like myself. And he talked about that because he talked about how he let his guard down, how he basically let all of us in and everything. And I think this is fantastic for the fact that, it's just really well put together with how this is. Let's think about what happened when he came back. I believe this was at, excuse me, I don't know, Double or Nothing. And of course, he actually came through wearing some similar attire to one Paul Levesque at one point, and interestingly enough, it was also attire that Paul Levesque wore not long before, what do you know, actually turning heel. So, I think this is actually awesome with Mercedes. I like this, but it should have been the way that it was going the entire time, and I think there were reasons, I think there were a lot of signs that were pointing to that. But it's good that we're getting it now, and it's even more fitting because, as we talked about before, we got the Good Doctor back. I can't wait for this. We're pretty much set for All In. I mean, it's going to be an awful lot of fun, and you've got it with a person in Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, that is actually known for being real good with her heel work as well, but she was welcomed back as a hero, and I think this is going to be a great story that they're going to be telling with this. I cannot wait for All In, and just all the stuff that's going to be coming up for this build. But anyway, we're going to talk more about that later. We need to get to the big subject of the weekend. Our guy John Cena had announced his retirement this weekend at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view in Toronto. And of course, I don't know why I said our guy, but in a lot of ways I think he is, because, we've come to embrace him a lot more in recent years, I think, especially those of the populace. I'm not going to say I was necessarily one of them, but I was never necessarily on the bandwagon either. But clearly there were a lot of folks that weren't the biggest fans of John Cena, and they showed it. They were not shy about that. And hell, he even put Toronto over, especially Canada for that matter, for making that the case, which is what was fitting about him making the announcement in Toronto. And that's great. But it's also amazing because it's just so well laid out with the plan that they have here with this retirement tour that we have for John Cena. Of course, Royal Rumble will be his last, Elimination Chamber will be his last, WrestleMania will be his last. But it doesn't stop at WrestleMania. This goes throughout the entire year of 2025. And I'm here for this. I'm absolutely here for this because, just given the way that Sting went out on his terms, I think this is great. If anybody really deserves the right to have that sort of shine, it's definitely John Cena. We're seeing a little bit of that with Bryan Danielson now in AEW. So, really, really awesome stuff. I'm not terribly surprised that we're getting this either. I think we've known this for a long time. Hell, I remember his last actual full-time match, which I believe was with Roman Reigns. And it was the post-show where he even talked about it at the time. He said he had revealed his age, and he was in his 40s then. I don't remember exactly how old he was, but he talked about it then. And I think that in and of itself speaks to how significant this is, because that's the original precursor when you go back to that. I can't remember the exact PLE or the date or any of that. I just know that it was the last match that he had as an active full-time wrestler. So, this has been in the making for some time now, and, I'm not mad at this. In fact, I'm ready to celebrate it, and I look forward to the best that's yet to come with all this. But I look forward to what y'all are looking forward to with this, and hell, even any of the other things that I talked about in this video. So, y'all know what it is. Let me know what y'all think down below. I appreciate y'all for rocking with me. So if y'all enjoyed it, like, share, subscribe if y'all are new. And I am ANJ. There will be more.